The father of the teenager accused of last September's mass shooting at Apalachee High School has asked a Barrow County judge to set a bond for him to get out of jail. Attorneys for Colin Gray have made their arguments in the past 2 hours, but family members of the victims killed or wounded made emotional pleas against the bond. Let's go to Fox 5's Tyler Fingert outside the Barrow County Courthouse with more. Tyler.
Yeah, Christine, good afternoon to you. It has certainly been an emotional day inside the Barrow County Courthouse as these victims' families of, as you said, either killed or wounded from the Apalachee High School shooting were in court today, really begging the judge to not give Colin Gray bond. He is the father of the accused Apalachee High School shooting, and just within the last, I would say about 5-10 minutes, we heard from the Chief Barrow County Judge Nicholas Primm that he was going to give Colin Gray bond, a $500,000 bond. He'll have to put up $50,000 in cash to be able to get out. He faces 29 charges, and truly an emotional day in court as we heard from multiple witnesses today. Really, the judge was saying it all came down to the factors. He has to follow the law, not emotion. He was saying that Colin does not appear to be a risk to flee because he has been born and raised here in Georgia. He also has to not look at the emotion in this case and just the evidence, and he does not believe that Colin might be a danger to the community, and he is not concerned about him possibly committing a felony while out pending his trial. So he said he had to weigh all of those considerations, and he was required to give a bond in this case. It's unclear when Colin might actually get out. But we actually heard from Colin Gray, who took the stand first before we actually heard from the family members. And he was saying he would abide by all the rules set out in the bond. After he wrapped up, we heard from multiple family members. They shared the pain that they had been dealing with since that September day. Some of them talked about how Colin allowed his son Colt to have a gun when investigators say he was a threat to himself and others. Those family members say that Colin is a threat to the community, but as I just mentioned, the judge said he felt that weighing all of the evidence, not the emotion in this case, that he had to rule to let Colin out on a bond. Take a listen to a few of those family members and Colin himself.
Why should your son and you have freedom when she has none of it? She cannot do what she wants to do.
Since my son was murdered on September 4th, 2024, I feel that the sheer irresponsibility of Mr. Gray as a parent robbed my family of a chance to raise my son.
I would, at this point, seeing the actions and what has come of them, and one of the criteria is a threat to society, then I can clearly see where bail should not be allowed for that reason alone.
If you were to be granted bond by this court, and the court set certain conditions, would you abide by those conditions?
Absolutely.
Would you attend court hearings as ordered by the court?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
And those, again, the emotional family members and Colin himself. The judge, again, just ruling within the last 10 minutes or so that Colin Gray is eligible for a bond. He set it at $500,000. He is going to be required to pay 10% of that in cash. So doing the math, that comes out to about $50,000 in cash, and the rest can be a bail bond to be able to get out. It's unclear if he'll be able to actually even able to make that bond, but that is something we'll, of course, check in with his attorneys here at the Barrow County Courthouse to see if they expect him to get out tonight or maybe in the days ahead. Obviously, this is emotional for the family members. They wanted to see him stay locked up, but as the judge was saying, he simply has to follow the rule of the law and not emotion in this case. This is obviously a very scarring situation for the people of Barrow County, for the people of Winder, the Apalachee High School community, because they had to live through this tragic school shooting where 4 people lost their lives, 9 others wounded. Now he is getting out. One of those family members said that this is like ripping a Band-Aid off, and so this is something they're now going to have to live with if Colin is able to make bond. That's the very latest from in Barrow County. Tyler Fingert, Fox 5 News.
I can imagine those family members are certainly disappointed by this news that's just breaking here, Tyler, that Colin Gray has been issued a bond. Like you said, let's see if he can post that $50,000. Keep us posted and let us know, Tyler. Thanks.